Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Hour. Congratulations to Aaron Halterman's Oklahoma Sooners for taking down the Florida State Seminoles yesterday. I will say it was a non-thrilling game, but I guess for the Sooner fan, that's the way they would have wanted. Aaron, good morning. You now have another championship to add to the fantastic pedigreed Oklahoma. Kind of walk us through your emotions and what it means to the school as a whole. Softball's taken very seriously in Norman, Oklahoma.
Pretty incredible. 5 national titles now, Oklahoma softball. Of course, Patty Gasso, one of the best softball coaches of all time. There for all 5 of them, built the program up. And yeah, I mean, it was awesome. She built a team this year that just was unbelievable. People that know softball have been telling me it's the best lineup ever. And I would believe it. They set a record for home runs hit in the season. And yeah, it was fun. I'm not a huge softball guy, but anytime OU wins anything, I get excited, and it was definitely fun to watch over the last couple of weeks.
You deserve to get excited. No matter what, I don't care as much about things outside of Syracuse basketball and football, but I guess if they were to win something, maybe I'll be more excited. So congratulations to the Sooners. G. Juarez was fantastic, a.k.a. your name. I wasn't really sure if she was going to be studying in between innings or not. But nonetheless, she pitched well. Most outstanding player of the tournament, I think deservingly so, the way she pitched the last 2 nights. We do have another preview today. We'll do some races. We're not going to do any stakes races. If anyone's interested, at the end of this, maybe we can get into it. If anyone has a specific question regarding it, maybe the Old Forester mint julep or something like that. But we are not going to dive into any specifics unless you ask for it. So that is the fair warning there. One thing to point out, we are officially less than 5 weeks away to Saratoga. Saratoga will be 5 weeks from yesterday. I forgot to mention that. But it's always a good time at Saratoga, and Aaron and I will be there, and we'll be covering hopefully a live show from there, hopefully a live show from Indiana Grand. It should be a lot of fun as well. But let's get right to it. We're going to start with today's sequence at Belmont Park. We are going to start with race number 6. Aaron, I'll let you start first, and then I'm going to pull up the entries. This is maiden special weight for New York-bred fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward, going 1 mile on the Widener turf.
Yeah, I thought we got a really good sequence to do today. I think this thing can pay a little bit. I've got some long shots mixed in with a few mid-price horses as well. This race kicks it off. It's going to be a tough one. I went with number 2, Comset, on top here. I just think second off the layoff today is going to see an improvement from this horse, also stretching back out in distance a little bit. And I think that's what this horse wants to do. Last time I was at 6 furlongs, it seemed like they just wanted to get a race under her belt. So Comset for me. I also like, it looks like she's going to be out in front by herself. And if that happens on this Belmont turf, it's been tough to run horses down. So I did put the 2 on top. Another horse and coming out of the same race is Crisa LaRote, the 10 horse, actually finished ahead of Comset last time out. This will be the 3rd off the layoff for her. Second straight time running on the turf. Her debut at Aqueduct was rained off and on the muddy or the sloppy surface. The big question is the stretch out in distance. This horse has been at 6 furlongs 4 straight times, but very consistent runner. You look at the pedigree, should be able to handle a mile, no problem. And this is another one that I think will be forwardly placed up there close to the lead. So the 2 and the 10, I think, could kind of control the pace and therefore control the race. So those were my top 2 shots to kick us off here.
Yeah, I guess we can, if we recap yesterday, I was all against using the horses that have had multiple chances, and that burned me. I said yesterday I'm going to be very right or very wrong. Aaron was more right, and that's why I didn't like Comset for that reason. She does have a lot of early speed, which should be very tough to overcome if you're one of the other runners in here. And so I completely get it from that angle. And on paper, I'm not really sure where the other speed comes from. So one of the things that I'm looking for is speed for, to your point, Aaron, horses that A, don't have experience, or B, a lack of experience. And that puts me on top with number 3, Marvelous Maud. I think I said that right. Mm-hmm. Tons of European pedigree by Slumber, who's done very well as a sire here in New York. I think one of the more underrated sires. He only stands for $5,000, something that you don't really see much from Chad Brown's runners. They usually on the turf or go for a little bit more. But it's the whole New York bred thing. Maybe this isn't one of Chad Brown's best fillies. But if we were to look at Comset, who does have some high time form figures, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I don't know how much it's going to take to beat her. Like, I'm not sure you need a magnificent effort. I don't think this is the best field of all time. So I try to go with first-time starters. She does come in with a 5-1 morning line. That's not the highest. We usually see something a little bit lower. We're going to find out if this is one of Chad Brown's good horses. We could usually tell with him, Clement, Pletcher, the list goes on and on. If their runners are taking money, they're probably going to run. If they're not, you might want them second, third start on the dock. Let's move to the 5, Holy Breeze, who I was very impressed with. Holy Breeze lost to Runaway Rumor, who did win her next start. So Runaway Rumor, I think, is now 2 for 2, I believe, at Belmont. She's a very, very nice runner. And she, Holy Breeze, I thought did pretty well on debut. Broke okay, but was kind of just lugging wide. I think if you were to ask Manny Franco, didn't get the best ride. And Manny, I think, is pretty good. I just, if you were to ask him, I don't think he did the best thing for her. Now, I expect her to be much better. There are a couple scratches, which I forgot to fail to mention, I should say. The 4 is an MTO, was never going to run. It's very nice here. The 6, a Kushla, I think I said that right, won't be in as well. So the 5 does get one spot further to the inside. It's going to be from the 5, but really breaking from the 4 post. I kind of think we're going to see a much better spot for her. I would take 10-1 in a heartbeat. And then you kind of mentioned, Aaron, the 10 a little bit. Crisa La Rote, I expect her to show a little bit more speed than what we've seen. Unless there are horses that just show speed that we haven't. Like if the 9 were to go out, the 7 was pretty awful in the same Runaway Rumor race. Maybe she shows more speed. But if we're just going on intuition, I think the 10 is a serious player here. Blame It on Mary, I believe, is running later on this card as well. A much more talented horse as well. So that's kind of where I stand. I went 3, 5, and 10 in this spot.
I think it's interesting that the 2, the 5, the 10, they all come out of the same race and they all come out of a 6-furlong sprint. And usually that will tell you those are the horses that are going to dictate that pace. So I think you're right. I used the 5 as well. The 3 and the 5 were my other 2 shots as well. So we had the same horses, only I used the 2 and you didn't in the spot. I loved what you said about the 5. I totally agree with everything you said about this horse. If I was in a tournament, and maybe I will be a little later, but this would be a great tournament horse, the 5, Holy Breeze, because in those things you need prices, and I think this one just makes a ton of logical sense. You got all 3 of the horses, the 3, the 2, the 5, and the 10 coming out of that same race, and they all have a shot to improve logically, and they all have a shot to dictate the pace up front. So I thought that was interesting, and then. You touched on the 3, Marvelous Maud. the horse is bred to do good things. I like Chad Brown when he debuts his turf runners at a mile or more. I don't really like debut sprinters for him. So here at a mile, I like it. I feel pretty confident that we've got this race covered with who we're using here.
There is a comment from Nick. It's a very fair point. 8 debuts in open company, then improved in the second start. So basically what Nick is saying is open company down at Gulfstream is there's no state bred restriction. You could be from anywhere. You could be from Germany if you want to run. There's no restriction. And now faced state bred competition on May 15th. And she did improve. Now, I think the best case I can make for her would be Luis Saez getting aboard, maybe going to show some injected pace. She hasn't shown that. I don't hate her, but I do think there are just better options.
Yeah.
She is now my 4th ranked horse, so she's the one that just didn't make it. I went with 3, 10, 5 in that order. I know it's listed 3, 5, 10, but 3, 10, 5, I'm going with the first time starter, and then the 8 would be that last one. So I don't hate her. I think she's one that makes a lot of sense.
So what I'll say about that one, and I looked at it for a long time, Nick, number one, the both speed figures on time form left a lot to be desired. But when it's a maiden and when it's an up and coming horse, sometimes I will look past that. My biggest problem is I think she's going to be outran early in this race. I don't think she's going to be able to get in a position to make a move and actually win. I think she's a really good horse if you want to use underneath in the 3rd spot of a try or the 3rd and 4th spot of a superfecta. I do think she'll make a little bit of a move. There's no reason to think she won't based on her last race. But I don't think the speed's going to come back to her enough to get the job done. But, you said it's your 4th horse. It would be my 5th horse. So, if you get on later in the sequence and you want to single somewhere, and you want to go deep in this one, yeah, I could see her making a ticket if you go deep.
In regards of the tournament horses that you brought up, I could see this one potentially being a tournament horse. I'm with you. The 5 is a better tournament horse because that's the horse that I have ranked 3rd. And in terms of prices, I'm with Aaron there. But I could see this horse making a ticket, maybe an underneath horse. I just don't see her being a true win candidate. That's on the way we've been playing, unless Aaron goes back to his old ways that we need winners. So that's kind of where we stand here in race number 6. Let's move on to race number 7, allowance optional, claiming 80,000 for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and upward. According to this, there are no scratches. I could tell you the 3 Dealing Justice is scratched from this race. Hopefully, after I finish speaking, I can refresh and it'll be updated. I thought this race was really interesting. For the record, I tried to exclude Don't Call Me Mary. I really didn't like her, and I mentioned Don't Call Me Mary as being a better horse. I really struggle with horses that come from Gulfstream and then have to run here. With that being said, though, she did lose to Slam Dunk by a very, very, very tight margin 2 starts back. Then in the same race, wins. I'm not sure why I wouldn't want Slam Dunk, though, Aaron, to be honest. And I'll let the other ones go. Slam Dunk, yes, beat this horse by a head, then runs in a stakes race, grade 3, to Pacific Gale Sound Machine. Those horses are just better. It is what it is. And then she runs into Miss Brazil. Miss Brazil, I think, ran in the Jersey Shore Stakes on Sunday, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I think that's accurate. But nonetheless, even though Miss Brazil stunk and I didn't want her, she was in that field, and she had won that race, obviously, by over 5 lengths. I prefer Slam Dunk if I had to choose. I'm still considering not using Call Me Mary because heads up, we saw these 2 run, even though it was only a head. That's kind of where I stand. I'll leave some others to you now to kind of walk us through your opinions here.
I'm with you on Slam Dunk. I think we use the same 4 horses, 2, 4, 6, and 7. I did have the 3 on the ticket instead of the 6, but the scratch, I kind of scratched into the 6. And then I just kind of was like, I'm not gonna get beat by Pletcher in this spot. I went against him in the 6 race. I'm not gonna get beat by him here. So I did use the 6 defensively. Like you said, I liked the 2 a little bit. The 4, Timely Tradition, another horse that I think here is going to be dangerous on the lead. I see this horse going to the front today. I don't see a lot of other speed, especially with the 3 scratched. I used the 3 and the 4 originally because I thought they would control the pace. Now the 4 looks loose, so I moved the 4 up to the top spot, Timely Tradition. I think that horse should get the easy lead, and if not today, I don't know when, right? Because this should be a gate to wire type of a run for him. So yeah, 2, 4, 6. Also the 7, Finding Fame. First off the layoff last time out, going a mile, lost to Alondra. That's a pretty nice horse. Got beat 3.5 though, wasn't that close, but cuts back in distance today to 6.5 furlong. I like that. Second off the layoff, I obviously like that. Shug throws 2 in here, and listen, he's got Ortiz on this one. He's usually the go-to rider, so I definitely think Finding Fame has a big-time shot to win here. I really rank 2, 4, and 7 really close together, and then the 6 is just the defensive use.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of on the same page. I'm not really sure why she's 2-1 on the morning line, because when she faced previous horses like Timely Tradition and Slam Dunk, she lost. So yep. I'm trying to understand the logic, other than if you're just going to tell me it's Todd Pletcher. But we have plenty of good trainers in here. We have Ray Handel, I think, is more than capable. We have 2 Shug horses that are better. I mean, the horses are just better. Mm-hmm. The Ray Handel horse, Dealing Justice, is scratched, obviously, which could be an indication that Timely Tradition is going to run a solid race. That's usually what that means to me when you're talking about non-stakes races. I think that's an important point. An important point to point out, because if she's just going to run a monster race, Ray Handel can wait for another spot. Like, this race will pop up again, probably next week or a week after that. There's no reason to run her, or it could be in the mere fact she's still in Kentucky, even though she has a workout here. I don't know. I just think this is a spot for her that maybe doesn't make sense in Timely Tradition. We're going to see a big one out of today, but I'm with you on Finding Fame. I do believe Finding Fame, now second off the layoff, should be much better. Obviously, Jose Ortiz was aboard 2 starts back when she faced Lake Avenue. I mean, Lake Avenue is a stakes horse. I don't love her in any stakes race, but when she drops into these spots where it's an allowance optional claiming, Lake Avenue becomes really, really good. And that's just what she is. She's going to win those races, and then they're going to try her. Then she's not going to win, and they're just going to go back and forth. She will be on what I like to call the AAA bus, AAA majors, and that's just what she is. But she's good, and I'm kind of with you. Don't Call Me Mary. I think this is a really, really bad win bet. If you were to play it that way. Nick chimes in with, I really like the 7 cut back second and form. Jose getting back, had the lead in the stretch at a mile. Should get a trip. Yeah, I mean, she has no excuse to be in a bad spot. The only issue I see, Aaron, I'll throw it to you. Don't Call Me Mary probably has to go. Obviously, Luis Saez is going to send her. But at the same time, she does have some early speed. And a horse like the 5, Truth Hurts, doesn't have speed. She can get caught behind that one. And we know the 4 is going to break, and we know the 2, Slam Dunk, is going to break. So this might set up really well for Finding Fame if she can sit, obviously a 6-horse field, if she can sit right in that mid-pack, maybe 4th or 5th, this could set up really nicely for her.
Yeah, I think that definitely will be the plan, and especially with Shug's other horse in the race, I think he's kind of got it covered. He'll send this one close to the lead, or the 2s close to the lead, and then Finding Fame kind of sits off of it there. Yeah, I mean, I'd be shocked if we don't get through this leg. I feel pretty good about the first 2, to be honest, and here, if Truth Hurts or Terrace Talent gets the job done, you just kind of scratch your head. I mean, this is close to buying a race for us, right? I mean, especially when we threw the 6 in, it's like, okay, we've got it covered here.
Well, let's just say if we can't get it covered, we're in deep trouble because to your point, we're supposed to. I mean, I don't see anyone in here that we haven't talked about that really makes sense. We're talking about the 1 and the 5. I mean, if one of those two horses comes in and someone had it, congratulations, because we weren't. Those two horses don't make sense. But I will say, Amir Chichakli and Benjamin Hernandez and their streaks that have been going on for, it feels like decades yesterday. So maybe Chad Summers will get it together here. I know that's Magic's boy, or Michael Moore. I don't really know much about, but Michael Moore owns and trains. At least he gets Dylan Davis. I can't even say getting Luis Castro is a good sign. Let's move on to race number 8. It's an allowance race for 3-year-olds and up. We're going 1 1/4 miles on the turf. We covered this one yesterday, a similar spot, 10 furlongs. There are a couple horses to announce that are going to be out. Again, I'm going to try to refresh when Aaron goes. The 11 Point Him Out is a scratch for Mike Stidham. The also eligibles are all out. They're all MTOs. That's the 1 Indian Counselor, the 1A Dust Devil. Both were Mercan Kentar Macy horses, and Yankee Division for Rudy Rodriguez. Aaron, with that said, what are we looking at here in race number 8?
Well, this is the race I went short, and it's a little scary, but at the same time, I just think number 7, Sham Rocket, is a huge standout in this race. You look at the company that this horse has been facing up, and then compare it to what he has to face today. It's a huge drop in class. Got beat 4 races back by Venezuelan Hug, who was a very, very good runner at Gulfstream this year. Churn and Burn got loose 3 races back against this horse. 2 races back, Me and Mr. C gets loose again. Last time out, goes up to the Man of War, finishes 4th, only beaten a length and a half in that one. I just think he towers over this field, and he also gets that distance that he wants. He is a true 1.25 miles or longer type of horse on the turf. Excuse me. So the 7 for me, but I am a little worried, and I played this horse as well, about the 6 Compliant. I think Compliant is very interesting for Chad Brown off the layoff, and I always say I don't really care how long of a layoff Chad Brown brings them back on. He has them ready to run when they come back. This is a horse that last time we saw him was a second by a nose at 1 3/8 race in an allowance, 2 back. 1 broke his maiden over this track at 1 3/8. Beat a horse named High Tide, who turned out to be a pretty decent horse. I think Compliant is the main challenger here to Sham Rocket. I'll be shocked if Compliant doesn't show up and run well. So I went 6-7 in the spot.
Yeah, I'll get into why I didn't go short in a minute. I'm leaving Compliant off, and here's why. I'm with you. Compliant is the second best horse to beat. I'm completely with you. But in saying that, the 7's probably going to run the same race. That's my guess. I assume they're going to be 1-2 mid-pack. What I mean by that didn't come out right. What I mean by that is they're probably going to be sitting like 5th or 6th, 6th or 7th, 6th or 8th. Like, they're going to be right there. And I don't believe Compliant is better than Sham Rocket. Now, Aaron and I have conversations all the time about looking at races versus ticket structure, which I hate that phrase. I think it's gross. Ticket structure and betting. I look at this race from a pure handicapping the race standpoint. The 6 Compliant and the 7 Sham Rocket are going to be the same 2 horses, probably in the same spot. I'm completely with Aaron on the Compliant point of the layoff is irrelevant to me, especially when it comes to Chad Brown. The stats I'm sure are great, but it doesn't really matter. I'm with him there. With saying that, if Sham Rocket doesn't show up, I think this could be wide open for horses that want to do it on the front end. So that's why I went 8, 9, and 10, because I don't see anyone outside of the top 4. Aaron, this is kind of that domestic spending angle. Not granted, Domestic Spending would beat all these horses. That's not what I'm saying. It's more so like if you're going to beat them, you're going to have to beat them on the front end, just like Tribuvin also did. You're not going to outkick them late. That's just the way I see this race. Shamrocket comes out of the Man of War, which was longer than this, so we clearly know he can do it, and he won his only race at this distance. So that's why I didn't use Compliant. Now, based on the way now I'll get back to the ticket structure situation. I think this is important. Aaron talked about the first 2 races were confident, especially the last one. We used all the logical horses. If Compliant comes through, this thing won't pay. It's just that simple. I'm going to try to build this up, and if Shamrocket wins, it's probably not going to pay either. But nonetheless, I'm going to try to do it with horses that I think have a shot to do it from the front end. And then we'll get to some of these comments that I think are really, really good. The 10, Good Old Boy. Going to stretch out, but is coming off a win. I tweeted yesterday something about Jose Lezcano. I've said this before the meet started. I'm pretty sure he's the best rider on the turf, and that's underrated. Like, I'll take the Jose's and the stuff like that. When you think of guys who don't leave New York, like your Dylan Davises of the world, your Trevor McCarthy's, and go down the Gulfstream, I'm pretty sure he's the best rider. And yesterday he showed it. He was able to get, I think, a 6-horse to streak on by. I really, really like him. I think this is a sneaky one. The 8 First Line. This was, if you guys want to kick a nice little laugh, First Line was in a stakes race. It might have been the Jim Dandy. Aaron, maybe right again. I only look at the 6. He was in the Jim Dandy after winning a maiden special weight race. That was arguably the worst performance of the summer. Worst. I don't know if there was one worse. I don't know why they ever did that, but they're going to put him on the turf here. And Aaron, what I thought was interesting, he was scheduled for the turf last time out. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to doubt that Mike Maker doesn't know what he's doing. And he won against a starter allowance group, which is not that much worse than this one. I'll take a shot with him there, and he's going to be close to the lead. And then the other horse. This is a complete shot in the dark. A long shot, Graham Motion, Junior Alvarado, your buddy. Dance some mo. I'll be dancing if this one hits the winner's circle. This horse is probably going to be your leader through the first turn. I mean, Aaron, I was looking through this group. Maybe the 3, Something to Tell You. He's got something to tell me if he's going to win. I mean, he did win in a nice allowance race last time out, but I'm going to take a shot with this 9 horse and Junior Alvarado. The 3 is interesting because he's got some speed. So with all that said, all the long shots I've thrown in there, what do you think of any of them? Or is just, did I waste my time and Shamrocket's probably going to win by 5?
The only one I'm really scared of is the 8 First Line, because I do think that horse has talent. Second time out for Mike Maker, first time out on the turf, and he made a really good point. They tried to get this horse on the turf last time out. I do think the 8 is scary. Also, Mike Maker going long on the turf, he could run a donkey, and it's still scary. He does really good going long on the turf for some reason. He's just really good at it. That being said, I think using a horse like the 9 and 10 over the 6, I think you might end up regretting that a little bit. I wish I had the bankroll to go with the 8. If I was being, super safe ticket, go 6, 7, 8. I think First Line is the horse that's going to be the leader. Get Sayas aboard, first time turf, coming out of shorter races. I think First Line might get up to front and be the one that's hard to catch. Yeah,
I mean, if that's the case, that's fine too. Like, it doesn't really matter to me. But again, if I'm gonna look at it from the domestic spending angle, that's what I'm gonna call it from now on. The domestic spending angle. I'm gonna trademark that one. You're not like, I don't think you're out kicking Shamrocket. That's why I didn't want to use Compliant. If Compliant was on the front end and the leader, I would have highly considered just using Compliant, and been like, all right, come get him. I just look at it as like they're going to run the same races, and the layout's not an issue. That's not why. It's just like head to head, this is what I try to explain, and I think this is a good angle that I hope someone could learn. If I'm going to beat a horse like domestic spending again, or a Shamrock in this case, 5 + 5 is 10. If I'm going to say 5 + 5 is 10, I'm going to prefer Shamrocket. I need to get 2 + 8 is 10. I need a different equation to get me to 10. That's where I'm going with the front runners, and they might just not be good enough. And if that's the case, Shamrocket will probably roll right on by. And it is what it is. But I just don't like. I get where you're coming from. You're just taking the 2 best horses, and I agree. Compliance is the second best horse on talent in this race.
I think Compliant. I think the big difference. I think he is capable of sitting a little closer than Shamrocket, and if that happens, he may not have to completely outkick him to hold him off. But I know what you're saying. And, Shamrocket, just to go back to him, this horse has hit the board in 12 of 14 starts. And one of the starts where he didn't hit the board, he finished 4th, only beaten a length and a half the Man of War. And the other one was his debut. So, he's going to come with a run. I mean, he is definitely consistent. So, I think you can count on him. It's just going to be, like you said, is he good enough to get all the way there? That's always the question with him. But, again, I am a little afraid of the 8 first line. So I am with you 100% on that.
Well, if Compliance able to sit anywhere in the, I don't know what we're scratched down to. I'm trying to do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 horses. I think we'll know this is so, unless I'm counting wrong. If he sits anywhere in the top 4, I'm very scared. I just don't think that's going to happen because all the horses that I talked about, I think are going to be 1, 2, and 3 in some form or fashion. I'm not getting it right. And the 3, something to tell you, probably will be on the lead after his last race as well. Let's get to some of the comments here. One of my favorite turf angles is a horse coming off the layoff, which is Chad Brown. The horse was the best speed figure. Yeah, so Nick's talking about Compliant here. I mean, I don't really – anytime you tell me Chad Brown on the turf, unless it's like a Breeders' Cup Turf Mile or a Breeders' Cup something or other, doesn't really matter. The stats don't mean much to me. A, the stats are all good. Second, what's the difference? The 7 is going to be tough to beat, but who is going with the 3? And that's the one that I was talking about. I don't think this 3 is going to be 12-1. If you do, if we see 12-1, scratch everything I just said and place a win bet, because if you're not going to get Clement and Rosario on the turf at 12-1 very often. So I don't have the stats, but Aaron, I'm guessing the ROI on 10-1 or higher is very good when those two team up. Even though it's not much, might only be a couple times, it's probably very impressive. So scratch everything I just said. If this horse takes money and goes to 7-1, then I'm extremely scared.
I think the 8 goes with the 3. To answer the question, I really feel like Saya's getting aboard, first time turf, stretching out. They're going to be aggressive with the 8, and so that's why I kind of was like, I just don't know. I'm with you. If you want to play the 3, I'm not going to talk you off that horse, not at all. Great connections, good running style for the distance. We always talk about going 1.25 miles or more on the turf. You want a horse that has early speed. He went gate to wire last time out. It's all good signs. You're not going to hear me talk you off of him. I do think the 8's going to go with him. And I think the 10 might as well. We'll kind of see that outside post. You never know. They may try to kind of sit and pounce. But I certainly think the 8 will go with the 3.
If that's the case, that sets up very, very nicely for Shamrocket. Like, we saw it. I forgot what race it was. Maybe it was Bound for Nowhere on Saturday. Bound for Nowhere. Don't look at the fractions. He had 2 runners to his outside or her outside, whatever. That made the difference. If you take away Shamrocket, his resume isn't all that great. I think you can make a case. I'm kind of with Aaron, though. I think he just outclasses the horse. There are just some races, outclasses this field, excuse me. There are just some that, the form doesn't look great. Aaron talked about it yesterday. I forgot the horse. There was a Mike Maker maybe or a Clement. And you're like, yeah, sometimes I want muddied up form. I think that's what Shamrocket is. Finishes second a lot, but a lot of those were stakes races. Well, one was at Kentucky Downs. Last one was in the Man of War to Channel Cat, who can run for days. Gaffoe. I don't mind you finishing fourth. Mind you, this race is a little shorter. So
he's a horse that is just, and I know what you mean. You look at it and say, well, he's won 2 out of 14. And you say, well, that's not that great. And you're not wrong, but look at the horses that that have been beating him outside of that race. Churn and Burn is a very good horse. Venezuela Hug, I already talked about him. Moon Over Miami, a very good horse. Venezuelan Hug again. No Word is a good horse. Venezuelan Hug again. Express Pharaoh's not terrible. Proven Strategies was a good horse at the time. I mean, I get it. I get it. You say, well, he just doesn't win, but he has been unlucky. He has faced some pretty tough runners, and he may get beat again. There's no question he could, probably by the 6th Compliant, and it'll knock Ricky out, and we'll all laugh. But he's going to show up with a run. I don't look at his resume and say, well, he's not that great. I look at it and say, that's a pretty solid horse. I'd love to own that horse.
Fear Rosario and Clement. Yeah, I mean, anytime you go against them. State Bred at Gulfstream, not the toughest company. Yeah, I mean, they're still stakes races, though, and not all of them were State Bred.
The one race where you could be pissed off at him, where I really got pissed off at him, was the Florida Bred race at Tampa 2-back. He should have won that race. Other than that, I've never really watched one of his races and say, yeah, that idiot, he should have won, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and there's something to be said for that. I think we're going to find out. Let me ask you this question, and this is just, we're going to do this on air. Because I don't like the 6 Compliant, especially at that price.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to ask you straight up, I get the 8, 9, or 10, and you get the 6. What would you? What? That's a solid little Sooner versus Syracuse Orange wager, right there. I get those 3, and they have to win. So one of the 3 has to win. Like I can say, the 6 finished 5th, and my horse has finished 3, 4, and 8. Like, no, one of them has to win. What would you take if I just ask you? This is the bet. You get the 6 or 8, 9, 10. Everyone chime in. What are you thinking here? Do you want the 6 or do you want the 8, 9, 10?
Yeah. So
what would you do?
I always usually side on the 3 horses to one angle, but since you added the stipulation of they have to win, so if nobody wins, it's off the table.
Correct.
I would take the 6 in this situation.
Okay, well, it looks like Aaron and I are going to have a little friendly wager. Please chime in what you would do. The 6. You know what? I'll scroll at the bottom at the end. 6 versus 8, 9, or 10. And what maybe that little wager should be. Again, someone has to win. If the 3 wins, then the bet's off. So that's the stipulation. Or obviously Shamrocket wins, the stipulation's off. But I think that's a nice 3 for 1. I'm taking 3 prices, and you get a 3 to 1 who you like. So I think that's very fair. Let's move on to the final race here. This one's not as exciting. A maiden claiming New York bred 3-year-olds and up. We're going 1 mile on the turf. We have the 4. Masked Marauder is out. And then we have the 14, 15, and 16. The 14 Reunion Tour will not be making a reunion. The 15 Cox's Ledge. And the 6 En Rule. Now, Aaron, there is a big time also eligible that makes this move. And I'm going to be the guy to not use that horse. You're not either, unless you didn't update it.
I didn't update it. Hold on. I didn't realize that horse was there.
Right,
you take this race first.
Okay. Well, it's right. It is my race first anyway. This friendly wager probably puts the 3 in the winner's circle. Yeah, maybe that's the sign. Put the Clement Rosario. We're probably walking that one into the winner's circle. The 13 Portfolio Hedge comes into this race, maiden special weight, New York bred, 2 seconds in a row, 8 to 5. I expect this horse to be, I don't know, 4 to 5. Now, having said that, I'm going to play against. And here's why. You will never, ever, ever, ever in my life, even though I just turned 25, I will never play a maiden special weight to a maiden claimer not having run in 2 calendar years. Now, It's not 2 calendar years like, what is that, 730 days? I'm not talking that. I'm talking about if I see a 2019, you're dropping in class, now you're in for a tag, still facing state bred, never. And mind you, Aaron, I'm not going to do it when the horse is 4 to 5. And I think that's what he's going to be. So, having said that, I do have to use 2 horses, or I have to use at least 1. And I put Majestic Sky on top. And here's why. First of all, Johnny Kimmel, I know he's only winning at 6% when these were downloaded. Maybe it's a little higher. I don't remember. He's finished in the money in 11 out of 35. Now, that doesn't stand out. It's not great. That is 31%. That's not horrible. It's not dreadful. I get your boy, Junior Alvarado, who you've been saying that's your boy for months now, dating back to Gulfstream. If you look at his first 2 races on the dirt at a lower, horrible. Mind you, Junior Alvarado is much better than Benji Hernandez, who just got his first win at the meet, and Louis Cardenas, who was riding with a 5-pound allowance because he was still a bug boy. I get Junior Alvarado back on the turf here. I think this horse showed speed last time. I expect him to be the prevailing speed unless Portfolio Hedge is just an absolute monster, and I guess I'll let you discuss that one. But I'm going to use Majestic Sky in this spot. I truly believe this horse is meant for the turf. $100,000 purchase as a yearling, which is very high. Now, again, for running at Churchill Downs against Open or in the fairgrounds or out west, Gulfstream, not so much. When you're running against Belmont at Belmont State Bred, that's a lot. How about the other one, Noble Mission, which is the Noble Mission sire for Noble Conquest, Jorge Abreu, Joel Rosario. This horse hasn't been shorter than 15 to 1 in any race. He hasn't finished less than 5 lengths to anyone. If we go off his last race, he shouldn't even have been running there. Now, you could say, well, yeah, obviously he was 82 to 1. No, here's my logic. Anyone who gets Luis Rodriguez Castro does not deserve to be bet on. If he were riding, if he was on here right now and I saw him face to face, I would tell him that what's been going on is an embarrassment. Now, to his credit, he gets no horses. We go from Rodriguez Castro, to Joel Rosario. I got a feeling this horse is going to show up. I really do. And I think one of the underlying themes, Jorge Abreu gets horses that look worse than me to run much better than any other trainer in New York. I truly believe that. His horses could look literally like a standing tree, and they run. I want everything to do with that horse, and I'm going to take a shot with those 2. There are some others that we haven't talked about. We'll get to the comments, but I'm going to try to beat that 13. I know you updated and included that one, but I'll throw it to you now. Why did you include that 13 after not having run 2 Thanksgivings ago? He hadn't run in 2 Thanksgivings, so I'll leave it to you. I'll leave it to you.
It's interesting. I don't know how I missed that the 4 was scratched, but I was actually excited to play the 4. I had the 4 on the ticket. I don't know how I missed that. Okay. I'm with you though. The horse I had on top, what was the 7 and still is the 7. I put the 7 on top. I think this horse has every right to win this race. He ran very solid last time out. I think the horse gets to the lead. I think stretching out to a mile only helps. So I like the 7 here. I don't think there's any doubt he should be the favorite even over that 13. And I had the 6 and second. So I'm with you. But yeah, I'll throw the 13 in. Listen, I know it's been a long time since we've seen this horse run, but Chad Brown, again, I'm not really worried about it because it's him. But you look at this horse just based on talent and speed figures alone, they leave a lot to be desired. But this horse was a 2-year-old the last time we saw him. So you got to think there's going to be a little bit of progression from this horse today. Obviously, there's been a lot of problems with him over the last couple of years. But if he can put 2 feet in front of the other, he's got a shot in a field this bad. Any kind of improvement from a 2-year-old to 4-year-old, and the horse will be right there with a shot. I'm with you. I wouldn't play this horse to win, but I do think you have to throw him on the ticket now that he's drawn into the race. But I'm with you. I think the 7, it's his to lose. He should win this race with any improvement at all off of that last effort. The 7 wins this race.
Because I'm extremely annoying, which I am. Why did you use? Oh, there are a lot of good comments I want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you use the 6 and not just go 7-13 and include first line? Because I know you liked first line the race before.
I just think the upgrade in jockey to Rosario is a lot, and first time running for a tag, and when you're in the maiden special weight ranks, that's the biggest class drop you can make. And then I also I was just really confident with Brown, having Chad Brown and Todd Pletcher on the turf in that last race, and I thought I needed an extra coverage here because this is a shitty race. I like to go a little bit deeper in the races where the horses aren't quite as good. So I don't know. I just thought the 6, like I said, huge class drop, huge jockey upgrade, a horse that likes to come from off the pace, and that's what I want Rosario on. I just thought there was enough to like. And, I think the horse 5-1 morning line, I think you're going to get like 8-1. I think the horse is going up because I think people will play the 13 and honestly, the 7 should get played more than 4-1, I believe.
I wasn't really trying to be annoying. I actually was curious because I think it's a fair question because we're both on the 7. That's the horse that we're putting on top. So I was just curious. For me, like if my ticket hits, this has the potential. I say of a $500 pick 4. I truly believe that. Now, even with all the favorites that come in, like even if I get my lowest priced horses, I still think it's paying $300. That's with Shamrocket. That's with I'm looking here, Finding Fame. I think that's with. I guess the 10 Creasel La Rote in the rate. Like I truly believe like this is a wide open type of thing. And I just have a feeling this is not a chalky day. That's just and I think this is wide open. But let's get to a few of the comments. KS wants him out of the barn.
Clairvich Stables wants him out of the barn. He's not about the 13.
Oh, the third. Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize the third. I mean, my question would be why? I think this is more so for the points that I made, and maybe they do want him out of the barn. Clairvich Stables has more money and more horses than I'm ever going to see. But what I will say is this horse was purchased for $100K. They've held on to this horse for a long time, clearly. Maybe he's just not that good.
Mm-hmm.
They want him out of the barn. It's $40,000. That's the way I'm looking at it. Like it's one thing if you hold on to a horse for 5 months, like, all right, maybe he gets back. Maybe he's just not that good. Or it could be the other way of like, we're not going to claim off Chad Brown. Like, I don't know. I think that's a very fair point. Anything you want to add to that or
it's either that or they just like, well, he's not that good and we'll just try to get a win out of him or both. I mean, I don't think they're really losing sleep one way or the other over this horse. That's for damn sure. So if they lose him today, they're not going to be crying about it. So the one thing about it, why bring him back after 587 days off if he's just going to run like shit? When you're Clairvich, you probably could just turn him out somewhere and that's it, So that's the one thing. It's like maybe he can run a bit, but yeah, I mean they're not going to cry if the horse gets claimed today. That's for darn sure.
That is a fair point. Like why, if he's going to run poorly, why do that? That's interesting. We have a lot of comments with this last race. Tanner's Neck Lane coming off a nice little break. First race at 3. 2-year-old figures are competitive. I don't know. For me, the race 2 starts back. I didn't think it was horrible. Then Michelle Nevin puts him on the dirt. That's not a move. Yeah, that's not a move for me. Either two things. One, first of all, Nikki's the Vest has turned out to be a decent horse. So I'll leave it at that. Next out, Winner. That's not a good sign for me. And now we haven't seen this horse. I just prefer more. I just prefer different. That's for me. Can't leave Manny Franco off your finale ticket. He only time he shows up. Yeah, that seems to be a thing. Yeah, on Twitter, don't leave Manny Franco off in the last. I would never, ever in my life subscribe to that theory. Now, it's not to Kevin Breen's point, because that has seemed to be this trending thing on Twitter. At the end of the day, Manny Franco has to be aboard a horse that looks good to me. This horse just went from turf to dirt. Had they kept this horse on the turf, would have made more sense. Aaron, this horse lost by 24 1/4. Haven't seen him since. Fast forward almost 6 months. Now dropping in for a tag. I'm supposed to take this horse just because Manny Franco's aboard.
Listen, you're going against your boy Dan. That's Dononymous. That's his angle. Manny Franco in the last.
I mean, shout out to – that is my boy. Shout out to Dan, though, who also told us City Man was going to run well. City Man finished second to last, and I had to tell him about that. I said, I can't believe you came on the show and told people about City Man. He said, and I quote, that was one of the worst picks I've ever had. So, we can't subscribe to everything. Can't subscribe, even though there are a lot of good points made. Ron does not put Joel on plugs.
Yeah. He's
Ron,
talking about his jockey agent.
Oh, I didn't even know his jockey agent was Ron. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, something I learned today. Yeah, no, that is fair. Again, Jorge Abreu, like his horses could be the worst. They all of a sudden run. This horse also hasn't been less than 15 to 1. He's going to be less than 15 to 1 today. Might be a prep for Saratoga. Well, I'm not sure which horse this is referring to. Aaron, do you know? I know.
Yeah, he's talking about Chad's horse, because then 2 comments down, these horses that drop for Chad usually win at Saratoga. So yeah, and it could be.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't be in for a tag.
That's true too. I think it's odd, because like the same ownership group that has like domestic spending has a horse like this, and it's just like, I don't know what they're doing with him.
I can't subscribe to that because you're not in for a tag. Like, if you were to run him like in Monmouth and then say something like that, that makes sense, Aaron. We've seen all the time, like the horses run at Tampa, then go to Gulfstream, something like that. I can't subscribe to that theory, even though it's an interesting one. If he doesn't get claimed, he's probably decent in Abreu is going to claim him for cheap. Maybe the 13. I'm not.
Yeah, talking about the 13. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, well, look, if you kind of subscribe to the he's going to run well theory, he's made almost $25,000. If he wins this race, you get, what is it, 60% in New York, right? Is that accurate? So of the 45,000, that's what, like 27.5 or something like that. I'm doing the math. 27 on the dot. That was pretty good to do 27.5.
Very good.
Yeah, I just took a stab. 27 plus the 40, that's 67 plus, let's call it 25. You almost made your money back. Now, mind you, Clairvaux Stables has probably their own, area. This isn't like me and Aaron owning a horse where it's like, all right, we got to ship them out. We got to have, like, they have multiple horses. They don't worry about that. So maybe he gets the money back. They get the money back that way. A lot of comments with this last race. I want to get to them all. I want everyone to get their airtime. Cordero Seldom Road, the last race, without a doubt, isn't he Manny's agent? I think he is Manny's agent. Maybe it's just a carryover thing. My guess is when it comes to these races, the agent just says, hop aboard. Mind you, when you go to these tracks, Aaron, and you know better than me, to get aboard a maiden claiming, they get 10%. The winner gets 60%, and then the jockey gets like 10% of that. Isn't that accurate?
Yep.
if they were to get 27,000, Manny can get 2,700. All things considered, it's like 2 minutes of work. So I never subscribe to that. Yeah, you got to warm the horse up and jog him out and get a board. It's not a lot of work. So like anyone who subscribes to the, I don't get why John Velasquez, X, Y, and Z. Well, because he doesn't want to anymore, not because the money doesn't make sense. Or Javier Castellano. Like Javier won't get aboard these horses really anymore. He is on the 13 portfolio hedge, but like John Velasquez usually doesn't. It's like because they don't need to, that's that theory. Chad loves to win at Saratoga. Why not wait until then? Yeah. If a horse is ready to run, they run. Like they're not going to wait. Now, what I will say, I'll let you go. I add or subtract to that. I will say if it's like the final week of the meet, that's different. But we still have plenty of time. So that's my only thought. What were you going to add or take away from that?
A horse that's been off this long, you kind of, when they're ready, you kind of got to get them out there. There's no reason to wait any longer. If he's ready, he's got to go. I mean, we haven't seen him in almost 2 years. So that's probably why. Now, if you got a horse and he's been off like 30 days, it's like, well, we'll just wait to Saratoga with him. But this one, get him out there, see what he can do, and either, send him back to the farm and say he can't run, or get him claimed, or maybe get a win, and then you've got a horse that's got a race under his belt for Saratoga. I mean, but, you got to find out what this horse is today.
You know who the 13 is? A read and react.
Yeah.
Read and react. You know why? If depending on what he does, if he doesn't get claimed, which I'm sure he will, you react and see how he does. Now, domestic spending, you're not read and reacting. You're planning out his whole year, assuming he stays healthy, ahead of time. That's not a read and react. Even if he were to finish 8th in the Manhattan, he's still going to be in a grade 1 and a heavy favorite the next time out. They're not the same horses. Granted, that's, in my opinion, the best horse in the country, but that's just the way it is. Any comment on the 11, second out going 8? So I guess 8 furlongs. We're going. That's what the going 8 part is. I'm not betting Luis Rodriguez Castro with real money, fake money, euros, yen, monopoly money. I'm never betting that guy. That's just the way it is. And I got burned yesterday with Benji Hernandez. You're going to lose money when you bet on those riders. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I'm not trying to be mean. I don't think this horse is that bad if he does show improvement. Aaron, I told you a long time ago, and people would hate my guts. I don't make friends with any trainers, any riders. I will tell them straight to their face, this horse stinks. But is that fair? Like, is that a fair point? Like the guy's winning at 4%.
I'd be shocked if the horse wins. I mean, anytime you got a second-time starter, you obviously have that chance of an improvement. But I would be shocked if the horse makes an impact here. The big thing on debut was 36-1, so certainly didn't have any kind of steam whatsoever. And I know those connections aren't going to get bad, and that's a lot of it as well. And just didn't pick up the feet too much. I do like the stretch out. I think the horse definitely needs to go a mile or longer. But yeah, it's just one I could not work that one on the ticket.
You know what stretch out in that situation means, and you're going to laugh. I equate stretch out to shit. You know what that means? You know why? How could you possibly place that horse going 6 furlongs again? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your hand is forced. If Charlie Baker, who's winning at 20%, so congratulations to him, is doing a fantastic job. If he were to do the same thing with this horse, that's like a slap in the face to bettors. Seriously, because you have to try something different. You have to. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not like I'll pick another horse that I don't like. The 15, Ratchet. The 10, who's at 15-1, Ratchet. All right, at least that horse has like a couple fifth, a third, finished 5th by 4. Maybe he's getting a little bit better. He actually beat Artie's Lit last time out. Mm-hmm. Like, I can justify that trying him again. I mean, he's probably not going to win a race ever, but he did show some speed. The 11 was so bad, you literally have to try something different. Like, I would consider running that horse in Chile before going 6 furlongs with him again. Final comment, then we're going to go because we've spent a lot of time on this one. I know you guys aren't workout guys. Aaron, I'll let you speak to this because you hate workouts more than me. His works are all over the map, 47, 49, 50, and 48. I just find that Chad's horses that are going to fire typically come in on more consistent works, just my opinion. I don't have anything to add to that, so I'll let you comment.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to them, so I can't really comment on it either. I do think they're overrated. But look, Nick, if you follow them and you've kind of seen a pattern of a certain trainer and you see something there, I'm not going to sit here and say, don't do that. I mean, if you pay attention to it and you see that pattern, then trust what you see. It's just not something that I take serious, but that doesn't mean that you haven't found something to where you can have success with it. And if it leads to you throwing the 13 out and you beat that horse, the horse runs poorly, that's good on you. I don't take them serious, but that doesn't mean you can't. And I mean, I'm looking at them now, as you said it, I pulled them up and they are a little all over the map. Like the work 3 back looked like this horse was pretty good. And the next 2 looks like, as Ricky would say, couldn't beat a standing tree. So we'll see.
That's one of my, I have a lot of different euphemisms or a lot of different sayings, but couldn't beat a standing tree is easily the one that I want to trademark if I had to. That's going to do it for us today. No one chimed in with any stakes questions, so that's going to leave it. We gave everyone an hour, and you guys chimed in with it. You guys, first of all an A+ for all the comments we got. Yesterday, I don't know what was going on. We got a very quiet group yesterday. Today, you guys were absolutely fantastic. We absolutely love chiming in with these comments. It makes our I shouldn't say our job. I don't even call this a job. Our time doing this live stream much more entertaining and much more fun for us. So with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for us. Yeah, no, thank you guys for the comments. Yep. We love talking about it. Again, less than 5 weeks at Saratoga. Just want to reiterate that. I'll probably come on here and say it's like 4 weeks and 4 days on Wednesday, or 5 days, I don't know, 3 days, whatever it is by then. But that's going to do it for us. Good luck today if you're playing Belmont Park. Yes, Oklahoma is number 1. College football, I think that's up for debate. They are top 4, though. You know what Oklahoma is? They are like my horse racing college football team. And what I mean by that is they're very consistent and very, very good. Just not A+. They're always A. They're always an A team. Always, always, always. And if you like scoring, that's usually a good team to root for, which I do. But
let's get the borders open quickly, because that sounds great.
Well, if anyone's going to be in Saratoga, either opening weekend or I think Whitney Day, Whitney weekend, I believe that's like August 8th, you could find myself and Aaron right there. I think Jared will be there opening weekend as well. Can't confirm nor deny.
As usual.
Yeah, he'll probably let us, or not even me. It's not important for me to know, but he'll probably let Aaron know like Monday night when you guys are leaving Wednesday or something, or Tuesday, whatever. Yeah, probably around then. But yeah, it's always up in the air. You always got to, like yesterday, you guys did blinkers off. It was like 5 at night. I thought something was like weird. I thought you guys were like doing it from like London, England, where you guys were like 5 hours like ahead of time. Usually you guys start late, but it is what it is. But that's going to do it for us today. Oh yeah, hit that like button. I usually don't, I'm not really like. There you go. I don't really think about the YouTube thing. Magic's much better than that. Like hit the subscribe. I apologize for not being a good company employee because I never say that. But go check out racingdudes.com. There aren't a ton of stakes races this weekend. I think the Old Forester Mint Julep is the one to keep an eye on. Dr. Miranda did a preview for that as well. Yesterday it was great for my product at Churchill Downs. We were able to sweep everything except for the pick 6. Can't seem to get those pick 6s right. They're very, very tough. Massive, massive, massive carryover today at Belmont. If you guys are interested in a life-changing score, today might be your day. If you're not interested in a life-changing score, it's okay. I'm not usually interested in it either. But that's I don't usually get those right either. I try, but I don't get them right. But that's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. And that's going to do it for us again. And don't listen to our hockey picks ever again. They don't work. Aaron's 0 for 2. I'm 1-1. I'll give myself credit for 1-1, but it's not a good ROI. Yes, Woodbine opens Saturday. Woodbine is back. Another Canadian track. I don't know if you plan on going or whatever. I'm not sure what the fan situation is, so check that out. But Woodbine is back. That's going to do it for us. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, be responsible if you are betting, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday afternoon. We don't know what we're going to be covering yet. Maybe we'll try to get another smaller track in there. Belmont's not running, so we'll try to figure it out. Everyone, take care and have a great rest of your weekend.